And how did Shotokan karate develop from this introduction in Japan?
Well, as I said, Funakoshi was asked to stay on and develop karate in Japan. Initially, he had difficulty, very few students, and he had to do some very odd jobs to keep body and soul together. He was a gardener, a cleaner, and so on. But around 1924, he was able to introduce karate into local universities in Japan. And of course his audience increased enormously then, and we see this sudden surge in popularity of karate in Japan. Now, I should say at this point, of course, that there were other Okinawan masters that came over now to introduce karate, different styles of karate. But I think it's fair to say that the increase in popularity of karate in Japan was due to Funakoshi. Now, this developed over many years, of course, and the style that Funakoshi tried to develop was one which was a mixture of the two styles he'd been taught as a child, the Shorin and the Shorei styles. He also successfully attempted to simplify katas that we had. And he also popularized the change of the meaning of the word karate. Karate, as I said, meant China hands, but in Japanese, the word kara can be written in two ways, with two symbols, one which means China, the other which means empty, and the empty hand designation was taken on. Now, if you read the books, of course, this was done because of the fact that karateka should empty themselves and not become vain and so on when they're practicing karate. There may be another explanation to this. At the time, Japan was becoming very militaristic and there were wars with China, and it was felt that perhaps in order to popularize karate in Japan, that the name should be changed from something which said China hand, where there was a great antipathy towards China, to empty hand. So that was another great change there. In addition, Funakoshi introduced the belt system into karate, and he also changed the names of many of the kata from the Okinawan name to a Japanese name, increasing perhaps the popularity of karate in Japan, making it more Japanese. For example, we know the kata empi, and that was called wanshu in Okinawan. The high-end katas, which we all learn at the start of karate, was originally Okinawan katas called Pinan katas, and they were developed at the beginning of karate in schools in Okinawa. So we have this development, and finally, because of the work that Funakoshi had done in Japan, an all-Japan committee was set up to raise money to set up the first dojo for karate for Funakoshi in Japan, and in 1936 this dojo was opened. It was called Shotokan, the dojo was, and a good reason for this. Funakoshi wrote poetry, and his pen name was Shoto, which means pine waves, and it alludes back to his time in Okinawa when he would like to wander in the mountains of Okinawa and listen to the wind blowing through the pine trees there. And kan just means hall, so Shotokan was the name of the hall. Eventually, the form of karate that was being taught at this hall became known as Shotokan, not by Funakoshi, but by people outside. So we now have developed Shotokan karate. But I should point out one great difference perhaps between that form of karate as Funakoshi saw it, and as we see it now, and that was that Funakoshi really saw the soul of karate as being kata, and the only thing that we should do is kata. He was very much against what we call sport karate and kumite, and it was up to his students, particularly his son Yoshimata, who developed kumite as we know it today, starting with Gohon kumite through to semi-freestyle kumite into freestyle kumite. So then, by the time we get to the Second World War, we have Shotokan karate with its name established with his own dojo as we know it today.